I just got the Pixie Clarity Salicylic Acid and Probiotic Clarifying Toner. I haven't really tried it yet, but it sounds like it's gonna be good. We're gonna use some of that on my face this morning. This was a nice little prep. I woke up, not yesterday, but the day before, with these little breakouts. It doesn't look the best, but I suppose it's my skin. The best thing you can do is prep it with some salicylic acid. Salicylic acid really flushes out the pores, any deep dirt or particles you may have. e.l.f. Power Grip Matte Primer. I didn't realize I was going to love this as much as I had. I hadn't tried the Power Grip Matte Primer until trying this one, and I have used this. I imagine I'll have to go buy more soon for the amount that I have used it. I really just love to get it all over, but when applying it, make sure that you're applying it. I like to do it last, just so that way there isn't any more contamination or dirt which is put into the pore or the blemish. And then just make sure that's nice and wrapped. I use, sorry, I have something on my lip. I use 70% isopropyl alcohol. It's just a container I use. I like to keep it in the smaller one, the spritzer, to keep that to the desk. Shoppers Drug Mart Pure. It's the Skin Complexion Authority. I'm going to use Polo Club. Sorry. And then I will use, you know, I think I'm gonna use Coffee Date. Or you know what, I'm lying. I'm going to use On The Go. Polo Club and On The Go. Those are going to be my choices today. X plus Y equals beauty. This is a shimmer stick. I think it's a multi-stick, but I'm going to use it similarly to like a little glitter eyeliner. I'm currently using the Natural Brow Duo from Pixie. This is in the color Deep Brunette. I've used almost all of the gel. Not entirely sure how much crayon is left, but hopefully enough that it will balance out evenly and I will not have to go purchase a new gel while using the Pixie crayon. Let's just see. Together, I may have to go buy another one because that's pretty generous. Actually, that's quite a bit of crayon. But I do know of a couple of really nice gels at the local drugstore that are not too expensive in price. So I guess it'll save me from having to go buy an entire new pencil. And I can just buy a gel because the gels are cheaper separately. All right, let's take, I think that is how I would like it to look. I don't want too much color on the eye, but enough to say that there's some there. Voluminous Base L'Oreal Paris Primer. I'm not gonna lie to you, I've recently learned how to do a mascara application using one of these. To not use the legitimate wand itself, but this has a much more finer, even application than some mascara wands. Or it's just something that comes in the brush kit that you can use to apply. And I'm a big fan of it actually. And this is a duo, and for some reason I thought that this was a mascara and a primer, but it's actually a mascara and a lip plumper. So I imagine I'll just use the lip plump. It's from Pacifica, sorry. Pacifica mascara and lip plumping gloss. And I'll use the lip plumping gloss today, but when I got it I was like, oh perfect, I have a new primer and a mascara. But joke's on me, I have a mascara and lip gloss, which is completely fine because I actually didn't know I was getting it. So the L'Oreal Voluminous Base L'Oreal Paris mascara primer and the Pacifica Vegan Collagen Fluffy Lash Mascara. This one as well. Just a quick. I find there's nothing wrong with using your mascara curler in just one go, but I find sometimes you have a little bit more of a lifted look within the eyelash itself if you crimp more than one. So I personally like to crimp the eyelash, crimp the back to make sure the wing will go out, and then the front as well. So typically maybe like a 3 motion, middle and front. I find in a a makeup artistry look, there actually isn't a lot of volume in mascara. It's actually just enough to cover the eyelashes and say that there is mascara on it. It doesn't necessarily give you the false lash look. The technique is actually fairly simple. It's not so much continuing with length, which you obviously can do, but it's actually just more of like a back and forth motion to make sure you've coated the lashes, and then upwards to pull it out across the lash, and that's pretty much the extent of the application. That's the primer. And I actually did try this before. I just stuck it back in the package, but I'm not particularly fond of this wand. I find it kind of does the opposite of the lash shape itself, and it kind of like clumps them all together. But like same technique, you just kind of brush it back and forth to grab all the hair and enough to extend it outwards, and that's pretty much a professional eyelash application, or mascara application. It is a very nice formula though, I will admit. Yeah, so that's the mascara. Just even the length on both sides. I did have this one a little bit longer. And that's pretty much a mascara application. e.l.f. Halo Liquid Glow Filter in the shade 2, Fair Light. So what I might do is, I'm currently using the Stila concealer package, Correct and Perfect setting powders and concealers, and because my acne is slightly darker, I'm actually going to use a pink rather than a skin tone, just because that is going to correct and perfect any change in skin color I have before I go on top with the halo. I don't prefer to apply makeup directly to my face, but rather to the back of my hand, and then just use my brushes from there. The flat brush seems to work nicely for the application itself, and then if you choose to go in and buff and brush and to create seamless looks, you can then use a fluffier brush or one of the packed brushes. For example, you can use like a brush like this, or this is what I'm going to use for blush. It's a condensed fluffy brush. e.l.f. Halo Filter Glow. And then I'm going to go in with the Huda Beauty Press Powder in Peach Cupcake. It's actually Huda's favorite color and recommended powder. And I'm just going to go directly in behind it, the e.l.f., just to set the foundation. It doesn't necessarily remove the whole halo glow look, but it does allow for an easier application of concealer and blush. This is a rounded concealer application brush. I'm just going to go back in and do a little bit more coverage on my acne here. It's not giving as much coverage as I would like it to. I think that might be my best choice. And then you can just... So the best way to do concealer, actually, while we're here, is I've mixed this Stila Correct and Perfect, and then I've also used the e.l.f. Matte Camo Concealer in the shade Fair Warm. And the best way to apply concealer actually is to use the brush itself to pick up product from the back of the hand and stipple on top and allow that to get tacky and dry. And once that is tacky and dry, that is going to be the best acne application. And what you're going to do after that is you're going to go in and remove any lines that you have. So how this has a very clear, like, circular application. I'm going to allow it to dry, and then I'm going to go in and erase or reduce the circular line that is applied with the concealer brush, just so that way when I go in with contour, the bronzer and the blush, it looks a little bit more natural and a more worked in application rather than leaving it like this. And that's going to be the best look for it. This is Shopper Jug Mart house brand. It's a bronzer called Quo, and this is Honey Glow. Similarly with Patrick Ta's technique to do powder to cream, just picking up some of it with the contour brush itself and going in to the cheek. To the temples, the corner of the eye. Hairline. And then you're also going to do the chin. And the chin, when you're doing a point of access with your face, this, like the T-zone here being the highlight of your face, pulling outwards. So if this is the brightest point of your face, coming outwards, your temple and hairline is the shadowing here, the jaw, cheek to jaw, and then shadowing the jaw itself is going to be the most, the best shading for pictures. And then just a little bit more underneath the chin, underneath the nose, and underneath the lip. And that's going to be perfect shading. And it does change quite a bit actually, the look at the skin. And the best way to do the application is to look head on and make sure you're doing it. I like to turn in afterwards and just make sure the application doesn't have any patchy work, and just make sure that that is perfectly blended. You don't typically need too much, just enough to say that there is some there, and use the remainder on the brush. I've also forgotten the nose, just downwards of the nose, under the lip, under the chin. And that is typically a shading. It's the shading technique I've learned by Ray Morris using Patrick Ta's technique of powder to cream. So this was the powder. I'm now going to use the Fenty Beauty in Mocha, applying it to the back of my hand. Maybe you don't need too much, really. With the same brush I was using previously, and working it into the brush to make sure that there is sufficient coverage, and just following in as where you had followed, or where you had carved using the powder. Just across, through the nose, under the lip, under the chin, and your jaw. And that's contour. If you need to go in and do additional blending, no worries. Um, 70% isopropyl alcohol will remove the makeup from the back of the hand. The e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush in the shade Peach Perfect. I'm going backwards. I need to do powder cream. XY Beauty blush. And I'm gonna pick it up with this is the blush brush. Not that I can read it. Applying that to the cheeks. I don't want to go too far into the apple, or else it's going to change the shading. Sometimes if I have too much pigment, I'll just go across the nose. It also gives a little bit more of a blended look. I do know people who prefer to put blush in the middle of the forehead, just so that way it gives a sunburned look, a natural sun look. And then picking up the e.l.f. Camo blush, applying that to the skin. Across. I'm going to go in with the blending brush and just make sure that everything is blended before I set it. I might do a little bit more concealer on my jaw. Brush over with that. And put some setting powder on it. I just bought the Kylie Cosmetics setting spray matte finish. It's not a micro mist, so it does come off a little bit heavier on the face, and I don't love that the heaviness of a regular spritzer rather than the microfine spritzer can move your makeup, whereas micro mist, it's very thorough and it just sits more fine on the face rather than it being a heavy spritz and moving everything around. But this is the Kylie Cosmetic setting spray matte finish. And for lip, I think I'm going to use the Pacifica Vegan Collagen Lip Plumping Gloss. I haven't actually tried this, so I'm excited to try it with you. And it's definitely plumping because I can feel it tingling already. But that is a makeup day. I'll probably go out and do some studying later, but this is kind of the look. Hope you like it. Let me know if you would like to see anything, or if you want something new tried, please let me know. I'm more than happy to try new makeup on this.